Good evening. I'm Jerry McIntosh, and this is Our Voices, the People's Meeting. Y'all ready?
On mute, Derek.
Oh, am I on mute?
You're not. Derek is.
Go ahead. Now we're ready.
Good evening. I'm Jerry McIntosh, and this is Our Voices, the People's Media. Ah, tonight is a lot to discuss, and Jill gonna keep time for us to make sure we don't go over too much on one subject. Thanks, Jill. But we'll go to our host, Mr. Derek Scott, who is with the Escambia County, who is the chair of the Escambia County Democrat Party. Ms. Jill Lewis Daggs, who is Okaloosa State Committee woman, and that CCOC chair, Mr. Bill Snow, who is the author of the great book From the Project to the Boardroom. BJ, Dr. BJ Brunis, also, who is a doctor who is here with us tonight, Mr. Vernon Watson with WBQP TV, where you'll be watching this show on Roku, Fire Stick, and YouTube. And if you don't have WBQP TV and you're watching us on Facebook, you can go to your Play Store and download WBQP TV, and you can always watch it on WBQP TV on your phone, computer, or whatever. But I go back to you, Derek.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us this week. We're going to go ahead and start our normal roundtable of things that everybody needs to know that's good for the community. And so I will start with you, Mr. McIntosh. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to let everybody know we are looking for, we're doing our membership drive already for new members for Moving for Change. As you know, we are partnering with different organizations to go to Tallahassee to the State House for the upcoming legislative sessions. But we also need people to sit on committees. When you join, we want to make sure that you have a committee that you can work on or become chair of to make some things happen. And we will let you know as soon as you join. There's work to be done. So back to you, Derek.
Okay. Thank you for that. We will go over to my counterpart in Santa Rosa County, Mr. Dr. BJ Brunis. BJ, what do you have for us to know?
Yeah, so we have our monthly Democratic Party meeting, which is on Thursday of this week. It will be via Zoom at 6 p.m. Tomorrow we have the Martin Luther King Parade, which starts at 8:30. And then we have the block party, which immediately follows the parade at noon. It's an early morning and it's going to be cold. So put your jackets on, kids. But yeah, it's going to be great. I unfortunately won't be there because I have to work, but there'll be representatives there.
Thank you for that. BJ, Mr. Bill Snow, welcome. Good evening. Do you have anything for the good of everybody to hear?
Not necessarily for the good of everybody, but I want to sure tip my hat to the MLK breakfast yesterday over at the Hope. It was something spectacular, and my hat is most definitely off to Brother Williams that brought that fiery message, man, all the way from Panama City, I think is where he is from. It was, and then the brother that quoted the MLK's I Have a Dream speech, man, simply spectacular. A spectacular event. I'm so proud to have been in the number.
Before you go to Bill, are you walking in the parade tomorrow?
I'm not. Previous engagements, yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Vernon, good evening. Do you have anything for everybody where it's good in order to share?
Vernon
Turn
from
my mic on. Let me turn my mic on. Okay, I'm good now. Can everybody hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have to turn my mic on. Sometimes I get some feedback. I got a couple of things, Derek, put good order. You know, tomorrow is let me turn everything on here. Tomorrow is MLK Day, right? Now, here I am. Okay. Yeah, tomorrow is MLK Day. And so we invite everybody to come downtown. If you are in the parade, we're going to be broadcasting the parade live on WBQP and also live on Blab TV. So usually we set up downtown right in front of the Singer Theater. This year, since the Palafox is closed, we got to be set up behind Singer Theater. You know, if you know where the Singer Theater is on Jefferson, we're gonna be on Jefferson Street. But we're gonna be behind the Singer Theater. There's an ice cream shop there. If you're familiar with any of the ice cream, I forgot the name of it, but that's where we're gonna be generally set up. So do you save your best act for last so you can have it on TV and everything. That's number one. Number two things is that the new WBQP radio. I am, you know, we it's an internet radio. We can get it by the app. I want to make sure that everybody pass the news on. But I got some even gooder news. You can, at least temporarily now, until I can make it more permanent, you can hear at least part of, you can hear all of my shows on 97.1 FM. Okay, 97.1 FM on the FM dial, starting today. And so I'm gonna try to make that a permanent thing, but we'll see. Okay, so tell everybody that was just couldn't get it on radio and was used to listening to it on 93.7. Just tell them to switch right on over for the Blues Hound and for the Morning with Vernon show. If they're listening to it on radio, just dial in 97.1. Okay, 97.1. I'm gonna call it the Hot 97.1. The B, and I'm gonna drop the W. Just gonna say BQP Hot 97.1. So if you're, for those that radio listeners, we also available on Alexa. Okay, if they want to, if you got an Alexa device, just go in and enable. You know, with all of the things that Alexa does, you have to enable the skills. The only thing you have to do is tell Alexa to enable the WBQP skills. Then you can get WBQP on Alexa. You can get it on CarPlay, or you can also get it, you know, on all the apps in that link that I send you, rdo.to/WBQP. You can get it anywhere from your hand, or just download the app from the Apple or your Android Play stores, and it's there as well. Okay, that's my 2 cents worth.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate that. Jill from Oakley, what's going on?
Hi, everyone. Vernon, you're not going to play your song?
Which
I love your song.
you talking about my? Oh, you want that morning? Talking about Morning with Vernon song?
Yes.
Okay, well, let me see. Can I find it while you doing your report? And by the way, Jill is also a weekly reporter. She got Inside Okaloosa every Wednesday at 7:45. Jill.
Yes, 7:45.
Okay. 7:45. All right. So give your report. Let me see. Can I find that? Because I'm in a whole different program, but I have to go see. Can I find it? Okay. I forgot that you told me to do that, but stand by. Okay.
All right.
As your boy would say, stand back and stand by.
Okay. I want to start where Bill Snow started with the program yesterday. It was just yesterday, yes. And thank you, Bill Snow, for getting tickets for Christina and myself. It was amazing. What Bill said, I can't even say it better. The pastor was amazing. You felt like you were reliving MLK doing the speech, I Have a Dream, and the musicians were fabulous. The songs were on point. It was great. So thank you for that. That was wonderful. It was good to be in Pensacola. I haven't been at one of their events in maybe a month or so. Oh no, I wasn't. I was at the Christmas party and all that. I'm telling a story. Well, I haven't been at one outside of the DEC in a while. So I was back, and I always see many people from Pensacola like, hey, you're back. We missed you. Like, I'm from there. I'm like, I live in Okaloosa. I just kind of try to visit all of the counties so that we can keep that connection that we're trying to build. To Okaloosa, we also will be celebrating MLK on Monday. We are lining up at 8:30. So in Okaloosa County, the Okaloosa Democratic Black Caucus usually leads that for Democrats. And so they'll be there with a group of Democrats and anybody that wants to join in Fort Walton Beach. That is actually a parade. I don't know that it's as high tech as the Pensacola one, but we do have some floats and we do have people marching and we do have bands. Whereas on Saturday, we just had the one in Crestview and they do a march and a program. So that's why I guess I'm going over the difference. You can meet us at 8:30 on Monday. And Derek's going to pull up the flyer. And as he's doing that, parade starts at 10 and it will go on the new route to Chester Pruitt Park. You can meet at the Fort Walton Beach Civic Auditorium, and then afterwards we end at Chester Pruitt Park and they do a whole day in the park. They'll have different organizations there. They will go over again the winners of the oratorical contest. They will go over the winners of the parade there, and you can join us. I will be there with the vice president of the NAACP Okaloosa, Lewis Jennings, and we will be the commentators for the parade. So that's exciting. And then also for the Okaloosa County DBC, they have next slide, they have a Black History Valentine's Day event that is going to, proceeds will go towards our scholarship fund. Everybody is invited from Escambia, Santa Rosa, and Okaloosa County. We'd love to have you join us. Our DJ is the one and only famous DJ Hale, and it's going to be exciting. Tickets are $25 if you're single, so you can come with a group of friends, or if you have a couple, significant other, it's $45. You will get dinner, you will have trivia, dancing, just kind of an opportunity to celebrate Black history. It is very significant for us. It will be at Carver Hill School, which was the, when segregation was still here, everybody was bused to Carver Hill School. So it is historical. It's historically Black. They have our one historical Black museum also. And so President John Armour said, you know what, I want to give back to the community. I want to make sure that they know that as Democrats, we care. And this time we're not asking you to vote for anybody. We're not asking you to do anything, but come out, support. Again, those proceeds go to our memorial scholarship that will go out to a senior this year. So we invite all of you. Let me know if you guys want tickets. It's in Crestview, so that means if you are Pensacola, Santa Rosa, you just get on I-10. We made that decision so to try to make it easier for those who might want to visit and come and participate. And then also the Okaloosa County DBC, along with Santa Rosa and Escambia County, and really across the state, are collecting membership dues. It is open enrollment. We have just a few more days to get people to join in. You can pay your dues through each one of those DBCs, and for the most part, membership dues, if you are 65 and older, are $30, and if you are 64 and younger, they are $50. And if you're a student, it's also $30. Some of those DBCs might be giving students discounts. I'm not sure, but join in. I can't remember. I was at a meeting on Wednesday, Blue Solace, which is a new organizational group that gets together, and it just invites in Democrats, MPAs, really anybody that's like-minded, and we just talk about things that are going on. And they made a really good point to make sure that you get engaged and involved in something. So whether it is the NAACP, it's a political organization, it's a faith-based organization, it's a group of friends, make sure that you're engaged for several reasons, not just so that you're doing something, which in this day and age, we need to make sure we're doing something, but also to keep your mind going so that you're not lonely and sad. And if you have some issues or concerns, you've got somebody around you that can help you, but also because in where we are right now, it's incredibly important that you talk about what's going on, that you register to vote, that you do your vote by mail, that you get out. And you don't just register and don't just do vote by mail, but you actually engage. Find out what is going on, who are the candidates, why is this so important to you, and find out the truth. Not all that's written is truthful, but find out the truth. Watch shows like this where they will tell you the truth, and we're not afraid to speak about the real truth. Do I have something else I need to go over? Equal Ground, are you doing that, Mr. Scott?
You can.
Okay. Well, then we would also like for you to join us at the Capitol on February 4th. I believe that is Wednesday. We are joining the NAACP, Northwest Florida Panhandle Coalition for Civic Engagement, Real Women Radio, Movement for Change, and other organizations. I think I've got most of them there. And there is a bus. It starts in Escambia. It's going to go to Escambia. It's also going to go to Fort Walton Beach, and they will pick you up. It is free. You'll have probably donuts and coffee for breakfast. Then you get a full lunch and a fabulous dinner before they put you back on the bus. And while you're there, you will get the opportunity to speak to different legislators. You will get information, you will get trained, you will get to go to some of the meetings that they have on the floor. It's a wonderful opportunity to get engaged, to get involved. And because NAACP and Equal Ground are joining together, Equal Ground usually has 300 to 500 people, am I right? I think. And I know the NAACP, when they go, remember they have units. I had to get corrected on that. Units all across the state. So it should be a great turnout. And they have not forgotten about the Northwest Florida Panhandle. They said, you know what, we're going to make sure you have a bus. Usually Real Women Radio has done that and provided that for us. And this year Equal Ground said, we'll get you a bus if you can get enough people to get on the bus. So we're sharing this information everywhere because it's critical that we fill that bus. Students, concerned citizens, everybody, make sure that you sign up, you get on the bus, join us in Tallahassee, and help us start the process of what we need to do in November of 2026. Thank you so much. I think that's all I have.
Hey, Jill.
Yes.
Don't forget WBQP is as much as a partner as everybody else now, okay? When you start giving credit. I was listening last night, y'all, to, if you went to the, Derek, you was there last night, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to the thing last night. They gave everybody credit but WBQP. Everybody's name was mentioned. That didn't even have nothing to do with it. Channel 3 just came in there and just did a one little snippet. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Okay, no.
We didn't ride in the danger field of the broadcast business. So.
Okay, so Vernon, are you coming with us to Tallahassee?
No, but my job is to help y'all promote it.
Okay, well,
but I could. When is it? Well, I could. When is it?
It's Wednesday, February 4th. Bill Snow, you can go. BJ is going, right?
Derek is going to send me the link.
Okay, perfect. So yes, then we join Equal Ground, NAACP, WBPQ, Northwest Florida Panhandle Coalition for Civic Engagement, Real Women Radio, Movement for Change, and any other group that I haven't said.
WBQP.
WBQP.
The station that cares. Your
Yes.
information station.
Yeah, the
WBQP
information station
Radio.
that's about to
WBQP
play this
TV.
famous song that we now have for Vernon, hopefully. But anyway, all of us together, we really are a close-knit team in Northwest Florida, and it's important that we do this together. So community, join us. Let's make it happen. Thank you.
All right. Do WBQP, the station that cares, and WBQP or BQP Radio is your information station. Let me see if I can play this. See, you might not be able to hear it on this unit I got here, but I'm gonna try it anyway. George, Gio, for you.
It's time for mornings with Vernon. Yeah.
Are y'all able to hear that?
Get up now.
No, sir.
Come on now.
No.
Get up for mornings with Vernon.
Just stand by. Everybody else can
Get
hear
up
it.
now. Let's go. Get up now. Turn it up now. 1, 2, 3. Let's get it now.
Start your day with Mornings with Vernon
No,
on
you can't hear it.
WBQP, Monday through Friday from 6:30
Okay.
to 9 a.m. Watch on
Alrighty.
Channel 12.
All right.
Wait
I,
till the
I,
morning.
yeah, I didn't think so. Hang on for a minute. I didn't think so, cause I was over in a whole different system, and for me to get it over to for you guys to see it, cause I'm using two computers to transmit this out, and so I don't think you weren't able to hear it either.
We could see the video. We could not hear it.
You could see the video and could not hear it.
Yes.
Mhm.
Really? Hang on for a minute. You can hear it, but you couldn't see it. Wow.
We could see it, but not hear.
You can see it, but not hear it. Let me see.
It's time for mornings with Vernon. Yeah. Yeah.
You can't see that.
We can see it. Is it because you have our voices on that one? You have it muted. Is it because it's muted?
Get up now.
Let's
Let's
see.
go. Get up now. Turn it up
I
now.
don't know.
1,
Usually
2, 3. Let's get it
Okay.
Start your
So,
day with Mornings
go to
with
there,
Vernon
but thank
on
you, but it's-
WBQP,
it's very
Monday
catching.
through
I like
Friday
it.
from
You
6:30
can't
to 9
hear
a.m.
it.
No,
Watch
but
on
we
Channel
can see it.
12 and
It's
listen
muted.
on WBQP
on our
Radio
voices.
on your phone,
Yeah, but
Alexa,
if you
or
put
CarPlay.
it in, everybody will
WBQP is your
probably-
information station.
Mm.
Wow. Okay. No problem.
I don't know how that works on this.
I get it. I get it another time when I can get it in over on this system over here. Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right, Derek, back.
All right. Well, just so everybody's clear, I sent it to BJ. I sent the email to Bill, and I sent it to Mr. Vernon, so you all can register. The link is at the bottom. Make sure that when you get on the link, say that you're riding the bus. You want to be a bus if you're riding. So if you're not, then don't. But certainly do it. All right. If we're going back to things, I know we've talked about it, but I will just reiterate. Of course, here in Escambia County, tomorrow is the Martin Luther King Parade for 2026 at the Mission Community. We won't turn back. If you are part of or would like to walk with the Escambia Democrats, certainly please feel free to join us. We are number 57 in the lineup, and we are going to be located by St. Joseph's at the corner of Spring and Government Streets. So if you walk down St. Joseph's and walk south, like you're headed towards the water, you will eventually run into us on the right-hand side. We will be there starting at 9:15, but you are welcome to join us. We'd love to have you. As we move forward, we're going to begin commencing our canvassing for our candidates to get on the ballot. Every day we get a new candidate that signs up to run as a Democrat in Escambia County, which is going to make this election cycle very interesting. So we got a lot of petitions to collect, which means we got a lot of doors to knock on. So we're going to start knocking on doors next Saturday, which is January 24th, and we're going to go every Saturday thereafter, except for Valentine's Day. We may include a Sunday day for that one instead, but we're going to do days in February and then most days in March. And then we're going to extend up until April as well, because I found out that we have a little bit of extra time. So we're going to make sure that we get all of our candidates on the ballot for free this year, and we're going to do so by knocking on doors. We're also going to be knocking on doors to re-enroll people and vote by mail. So if that is something that you would like to help do, because everybody needs to play their part, if you'd like to join us, please join us next Saturday at 1:30 p.m. At 2618 Dr. Martin Luther King Drive. We're at the corner of Martin Luther King and Cross Street. You will get the information on how to canvas. We'll go through a mini tutorial. We will even pair you up into your teams of 3, or if you're experienced and can handle it, we'll give you teams of 2. And you'll go out and start knocking doors. This is a great way to show that there are Democrats in Escambia County and meet other people. So we invite you to join all of those, join us in those things. Jill has talked to you about the events for the 2025 Day at the Capitol. So what I would just like to remind everybody is we're coming up on election season. So in Escambia County, this again, if you're not in Escambia County, don't pay attention to this graphic because it's not going to do you any good. But if you are in Escambia County and you would like to re-enroll and vote by mail, we're asking that you do one of the 3 things. You can call the Escambia County Supervisor of Elections at 850-595-3900, or you can visit the Escambia Votes, or the email address, the website address listed there at escambia.electionsfl.org/VR services/NBRS #. Or you can scan the QR code if you're watching us and you have your phone available, put it up to the screen and scan the QR code, and you can immediately re-enroll and vote by mail. That's the quickest and easiest thing to do. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, call them beginning on Tuesday, because tomorrow's a federal holiday, and it takes 3 minutes to get through that phone call. Additionally, you want to make sure that everybody checks their registration status and make sure that they are registered. And again, if you are not certain that you're registered and you'd like to register, please make sure you call the Escambia County Supervisor of Elections again at 850-595-3900, or visit Escambia Votes at escambiavotes.gov/am-i-register. You can also, again, take your phone out if you're viewing us either on WBQP or YouTube or on our live stream. You can scan the QR code that you see pictured on your screen now. Again, this takes 2 seconds to do. Well, maybe not 2 seconds, probably like 2 minutes. But it really is something that you want to do, because everybody is going to be needed to make sure that we bring the change that's needed to Escambia, as well as Santa Rosa, Tuscaloosa, and Walton counties, the state of Florida, and this great nation. But it starts by making sure that you are registered to vote. If you have questions or you need help, again, you can call the Escambia County Democratic Party office at 850-595-3900. Again, that's 850, I'm sorry, that's wrong. Escambia County Democratic Party's office is 850-407-7997. Again, that's 850-407-7997. And that concludes all of the information that we have for everybody to know. We do want to pivot into, as we know, tomorrow is the birthday and the day that we celebrate the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Many of us will be in parade. So we thought we'd kick off the show by spending a little time talking about the life and legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King and what it means to us today. So, Mr. McIntosh, I will turn it over to you. What are your thoughts?
So let me first thank the ML's King Committee, CCC committee for their honoring all the honorees of yesterday and today, but want to say especially thanks for remembering my late wife, Karen McIntosh, who was educator, and who loved educating young people and anybody else that she encountered, but she loved it. And I want to thank them, and I also thank them for honoring me today over at Zion Hope again. Vernon was over there today also shooting the program over there. So it was really nice for them to honor us today over there. So again, I want to thank the MLCC committee for just thinking of us. You do a lot of work and never think about people really appreciate what you do, and it shows appreciation. It tells you that to keep going, to move on. Keep the fight, stay in the fight. So it was a great honor, and I want to thank them again for doing just that. And we are in the fight, and I think it used to be. I thought that we would be able to cruise through through these through days, the years coming, but I see there are those who want to turn back the clock and are turning back the clock. And so I guess we're in this for the rest of our days, struggling in the struggle. I guess Frederick Douglass was right. If there's no struggle, there's no progress. And so we have to make sure that we are in the struggle to make sure that they are progress. But you was talking about Martin. I want to talk about Martin Luther King. Most people don't realize what J. Edgar Hoover and them knew. What most of us don't know is J. Edgar Hoover understood who Martin Luther King was. J. Edgar Hoover said that we could never have another Messiah in the country, or a Messiah-like person in the country, like Martin Luther King. And this is why they murdered him, because the fear, even though he was an ordinary man, but he understood that he realized that God was speaking through Martin Luther King at the time. And so he made sure that he would not be able to speak for the rest of his life with the authority that he spoke with and the power that he spoke, that he used to address the issues of our day, whether it was military, materialism, and money. He talked about that. And then he talked about the spiritual death of America. And we're seeing that happen now in our time. And on our watch, there are too many people are saying we should not do anything. But I'm saying there's some things that we're going to have to do if we're going to survive in this country, if we are going to be a part of it without becoming a scapegoat. And already, what Trump is doing is to make us scapegoats now. But Martin Luther King understood all too well the power dynamic that was going on at the time. And this is why he was trying to organize the Poor People March, because he wanted to bring people together on every level. When he talked about in his speech in Washington, he said, we come to cash a check. And most people miss that first part. They always listen to the last part, but they miss that first part of his speech which was so powerful. And most of the speeches that I hear people play, they play just that speech from Washington D.C. But he made many more speeches that were more powerful and more significant, not just from the one that was from the Birmingham jail. The one he did in Montgomery when he asked, how long will prejudice blind the vision of men? So it's just a whole host of speeches that he made. To me, that was more significant. I know that was a great speech because that's what they conditioned us to believe, that it was a better speech than all the speeches that he ever made, but it was not to me. I think it was one of his greatest speeches, but it wasn't the greatest, because it eliminates all the other speeches that he and the language and the the things that he talked about in the other speeches. Because to me, the speech from the Birmingham jail was super powerful. And there were other speeches he made on the Vietnam War, in New York. Just a whole host of speeches that he made and things that he said and people that he addressed. So I'll digress and let somebody else speak. Bill?
Anybody?
I figured this is Derek saying, go ahead, Derek. Go before me because I'm doing my puzzle pieces. So go ahead.
Well, what I say, like, his legacy doesn't just echo right now in the present. It speaks directly to the moment that we're living in right now. Like when I look at how it matters, like his vision of nonviolence being almost like a roadmap to the nation where we are right now is so polarized as such we are. He understood that violence, whether it was physical, political, or rhetorical, it erodes the democracy. In today's climate of hostility and dehumanization, really shows how urgently we need his insistence on dignity and moral courage. Like his calls for justice, as to speak to the additional ongoing equities, the economic inequality, the racial disparities, the voting rights battles, and unequal access to the opportunity. They're not abstract issues. They're struggles that Dr. King named in his final years. And if you look at his legacy, it pushes us to challenge the built in the systems that exist today to make sure that they're fair and inclusive. His defense on democracy is especially relevant. We know that he fought for voter suppression. He fought against voter suppression, I should say, and intimidation and barriers to participation. And many of those same tactics exist here today, and which should let us know that democracy is not a self-sustaining entity. It requires participation and vigilance, and each one of us have a responsibility in that. And when we look at his belief in building coalitions, he brought everybody together, and that's something that we should be doing today. And so, when we look at it, if I look at what I would think his message today is that we cannot afford to give up on each other or on what the promise of this America and what the concept of America was built upon. His legacy calls us to act, not from anger, but like hope and the commitment to build something better, or as BJ likes to say, demolish it and build something completely different. So a new world. So that's what I would say.
So I would, if you know me, I think that everybody is a puzzle piece. I think that we were purposely put here on Earth to link together. I don't think we should be square boxes and just live next to each other, but that a piece of us should link within each other. So to me, Dr. King didn't ask us to be identical pieces. He asked us to be essential ones. His dream was never for a single voice or a single person, but different people to come together, to work together, to tell your story, and then form much more just and compassionate as a whole. He believed deeply that God does not waste a life or a story, and each of us are created for a purpose, not just to replace one another or to overshadow one another, but to work together, because we're a piece of the puzzle. We're valued and we're protected, and we need to put our puzzle piece where it belongs. And then Dr. King reminds us that progress doesn't come from waiting for the picture to be perfect. And I think often in life, we're always waiting for that perfect picture, perfect candidate, perfect man, woman, person, whatever. And that's not what this was about. It was placing the very right piece in the next place. And I think that he's not here, but he's still inspires us to move forward, to do the work that needs to be done, to come together. And sometimes that requires us to place our piece in places that aren't as comfortable or not as, not maybe what we want to do, but what we need to do. And then it was never meant to be admired from afar. It wasn't supposed to be just this piece of history that stays as a piece of history. It was supposed to be a piece of history that directed us forward, that galvanized us, that gave us the love, the desire, the energy to move forward, to become the dream, to make the dream. And when we honor his voice, when we honor his words, every story, every picture, every vision, I think that's when his dream is able to become stronger. And one day we will see the mountaintop.
Okay.
Well,
All right.
go ahead,
wait,
Vern.
No, you go ahead. Finish up. Now I'm going to just.
I was going to say the way the dream is taught to people, especially younger people. You know, I remember when Carol was teaching at the school, and we would often ask some of the young children, who was Martin Luther King? Oh, he had a dream. He had a dream. You know, and that's all they knew, that he had a dream. But we had to correct them, you know. We had to show them that he was not just a dreamer. He was a pursuer of that dream, of the beloved community, as he called it. You know, that he was working to, as Jill said earlier, try to bring people together, building coalition with other organizations, even though there were many who rejected him, not just white people, but there were black people who rejected him
and try to kill him.
Yeah, there were black people who was totally against what he was doing, and there were one preacher in Chicago. When they named the street after Martin Luther King, he closed the door so the people couldn't come in on Martin Luther King Drive in Chicago. So he put the door on the other side of the church. He was just that much against King. So, you know, he was that bitter against King because he felt that King was disrupting, you know, the middle class, in other words. But the people began to withdraw themselves from him because of what he did on King Drive, because they were part of the fight, the struggle to get these streets named after King. But it was more than that. The schools that even though it was schools named after him, but they weren't teaching about Martin Luther King. They weren't teaching who he really was and what he, you know, they talked about the dream in 1963, but King became more what they would call radical in 1967 and 68 when he began to talk against the Vietnam War, when he was talking about reparation. You know, he talked about how you know, the lack of, you know, finances for black farmers, and how they was treating, you know, they was undergirding the peasant from Europe, but didn't do anything for the black farmers in America. So he talked about that. Go ahead, Vern.
Okay, Jerry. I want to go back on something you said earlier about J. Edgar Hoover. You know, J. Edgar Hoover, as a young FBI director, was solely responsible for getting rid of Marcus Garvey and the Garvey movement
Right.
back then. And so and that I do not understand, Jerry. I don't understand that because Marcus Garvey movement was like a move back to Africa movement, but yet
Mm.
he realized the power that black people had and the power that Marcus Garvey had, that he wanted to eliminate that threat. Okay. And it wasn't until the 60s when MLK presented the same counter threat. You know, he made this famous quote that he's the most dangerous man in America.
Mhm.
Okay, so they were out to to get him. And so it's really sad. And I want to mention something else since we going into Black history, and you're talking about it just wasn't white folks that was anti-MLK. I've known a lot of black folks at the time was anti-MLK because they thought that he was a rebel rouser, stirring up trouble. And even in 1957, this lady in New York at a New York library, when he was signing his book, almost stabbed him to death. And I ran that speech the other day about, had I sneezed, you know, he
Mhm.
said that it comes so close to his heart, had he sneezed, he would have bled internally. But again, I think what Dr. King means to me is the fact that everything that he started off is as relevant today and it was back then. I mean, he's a man for inspiration or hope. He talked about peace and hopes and dreams and unities and solidarity, and all of that represents what we should be all about even today. And if anybody needs Dr. King, that we need his action today. Look at the same thing we're going through today. Back then, we said the same kind of protest, but more than just black people involved. You can take Minnesota. I can remember when George Wallace put National Guards on the streets, and everything back then. We repeating it again. So, but at any rate, I hope that people will reflect on why we celebrating and why we are trying to remember Dr. King and his legacy. That's all I got for right now, Jerry.
Vern, one of the things when I used to go to the parades, you would hear those speeches all the time in people cars and trucks and
Yeah.
on bullhorns all the time. When they first started doing the parade, before it became a candy party, people were throwing candy, but at the same time, they had signs on the side of their car that meant something, that read that you could read, that quotes of Martin Luther King, just a whole host of things when it first started. But then it deteriorated into you know
Yeah.
the skimpy stuff, and
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff that that don't really make sense at the parade when it's supposed to be a celebration of a person who tried to inspire the world to come together to be so we would have a better place to live. Uh, One of the things that the minister talked about again today, remembering, something that we've always talked about, that how we done forgot about enslaved foreparents, how, all of those things that, how we came out of the cotton fields of Arkansas and Mississippi and Louisiana and Kentucky and all that,
Don't
and
forget Alabama.
Florida, yeah, Alabama and Florida. So when he was mentioning, I'm like, people have forgotten because they didn't teach their children the hardship they was under when they first, got the right to vote, and through voting, things got a little better. Um, we see now, as I was trying to tell people yesterday, you got the most educated people in the world, probably in the world, I would say, Black women. Uh, were being purged from jobs by the thousands in this country so that, they cannot influence those who need to be influenced, or those who need, the legislative parts of what is taking place. So, yeah, Martin Luther King, it need to be addressed in a different form as far as I'm concerned. I like the parades and all of that, but I think that it's got to be some more, or after the parade, that they have speeches or people speaking to the young people in different settings after these parades or even before. BJ?
I agree wholeheartedly.
I mean, the only thing I would add to that and go with me on a journey is when I was writing and I'm still writing a novel, and I was saying, well, this has been done before. And I had a mentor who told me, human beings, since we were, Alexa, turn on studio. Human beings have been writing, since they had the ability to write, have been writing stories on the walls of caves. So they're like, you're special, but he told me, you're not that special. Whatever story you tell, I guarantee you it's been told before, because humans have been writing since they could write on cave walls. So just tell your story. The reason why I bring that up is that there's nothing new under the sun. So when you bring up the idea that there were some in the Black community who are not down with King, that was just another iteration of history. There were, white women who threw Black women under the bus for suffrage. There were indigenous Native Americans who wasn't down with the colonizers coming on board from the beginning, but there were some who were. Let's give them a chance. Let's see what they're about. And so there are people today in the Latin American community, in the Hispanic community, who are throwing their own people under the bus. There are LGBT people who throw trans people under the bus within their own alphabet mafia. So this happens. This is just another iteration of history, and I don't know what the solution is. All I know is that it's just a redemonstration of something that has happened in the past, and we seem to not learn from it. And I think we don't learn from it because we're subcontracting our teachings and our history to white folk. White folk still make up the majority of our educators in school. And so they control the narrative on what we learn about our historical figures. I didn't learn hardly much about King until after college, probably. And I went to a majority segregated, elementary school. I went to an all-Black high school. I went to an HBCU, and I still got white narrative of history because the textbooks were white, were white-centered textbooks. Teachers have to abide by curriculum that is usually developed by white folk, even if you have a Black teacher. So unless we've subcontracted our history to a segment of the population who doesn't really understand the history, or even if it's just sheer ignorance. I mean, they may be doing it out of goodwill. I'm not saying that makes them bad people, but I mean, everybody wants to talk about the dream, and nobody wants to talk about the revolutionary figure that King was, and how unpopular he actually was during his time. He didn't really become a hero until 20 years after his death, and there were still fights for him to get his holiday. John McCain voted against him having a holiday. So, and that's a relatively new figure. And so it was him and Strom Thurmond. John McCain and Strom Thurmond were on the same side of that issue, that King did not deserve a holiday. So I just feel like we have to take responsibility for the narrative that we want set, and create our own media, not depend on the media to tell our stories. We have to be our own storytellers, our own media creators.
Martin Luther, the King, was a giant among us. He got his namesake from Martin Luther, who hung his 95 Theses on the doors at Wittenberg in protest. And we got to remember that the Catholic Church labeled him an outlaw. Martin's letter from the Birmingham jail is awe-inspiring. I mean, the irony of King saying that rioting is the voice of the unheard. We've got folk rioting now who voted this way. King spoke of interposition and nullification, basically states doing whatever they want, regardless of what the federal government says. But in today's time, we need states. Gavin Newsom, prime example, that said that the state parks for King Day would still go and follow the rules of years past and not abide by this new thing as far as them trying to erase free people getting into national parks on King's Day and all. So as a little boy listening to the radio in the morning, getting ready for school, 5th, 6th grade, and hearing Martin's thunderous voice. Yeah, all we got was I Have a Dream, but fortunately we got that because that makes people want to look and dig deeper into who the man really was. We got to remember Martin Luther graduated college around 17 years old. Martin was a smart guy. Martin didn't choose the struggle chose Martin. And that's why yesterday, this guy, Bishop Williams or Pastor Williams that brought the word at the breakfast yesterday, he who puts his hand on the plow and look back are not fit for the kingdom. And he made sure that we knew that the kingdom was in us. And that's what this administration is all about, looking back and going back. And the theme yesterday, we were not going back. So King was a brilliant man. And McCain, Arizona's history, brother Brunius, Arizona's history was terrible. The last state to accept and acknowledge King's Day. But we got the good fight continues. I take note that the nation is not using water hoses and dogs on the protesters now. All of what the struggle was really about. They want the reason. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Now they're using bullets and
absolutely, man. They have turned it up, tear gas, bullets, and shooting folk in the face. And strange, well, no, ironic that BJ says that there is nothing new under the sun. You are absolutely right, BJ. From Martin Luther's namesake to all of what the nation is going through now, it's just that I just have a loss of words.
I got a question, if you will. I know, Jill, I'm not going to take us off topic for a few minutes. And Bill, I'm going to include you in with this. I know BJ and Jill and Pookie Butt Derek over there. They're too young to remember all this good stuff. Y'all still green behind the ears. But sometime I play this game I call Where You Were When. Okay, Jerry, Bill, where were you when you heard about the death of Dr. King on April the 4th, 1968?
To be frank with you, I was only 6 years old, so I have no memory or recollection of it.
Okay, Jerry?
Yeah, I remember exactly where we were. Me and my mom, we were all watching TV, and then when the news broke, because we wasn't that far from where he was killed at. We were right across the river in Arkansas, about 45 minutes away from the Lorraine Hotel there. And as soon as he was shot, it broke in Memphis. And, they broke in and said King had been shot. And about an hour later, they said he had transitioned. And, everybody just started crying, because people just came from around the area, especially, and they were just in mourning because they knew King was like a prophet, were a prophet, that J. Edgar Hoover, them understood who he was.
Amen.
And the people was, I mean, for days, people were just walking around in a daze because they were lost, because he had inspired so many people to get up and do something. It wasn't, people think of the bus boycott only in Montgomery, and you know, but people would, once that started, it started boycotts all around the country. And it wasn't just in Montgomery; it was in Arkansas, it was in other places that people realized that they could change the trajectory of the state they lived in the counties. So it was a lot of things going on. But yeah, we were watching the television and that evening when he was shot, and it just, we was all blown away because, and then the next day at school, we went to school, but they closed the school down so that people could go and properly mourn because the students, it was such a sad day, not only for the students but the teachers too, because back then we were all in black schools, in all black school at that time. Eliza Miller and Eliza Miller Junior High School and the Senior High School. So it was a tragic to everybody, And then one day I got on the bus and this guy started talking about King deserved to die because he was a rabble rouser and all that. We just, my mom just told us get off the bus because he wanted to provoke us, because he was about, I think I was around 15. No, I was 16 at the time. So what were you doing, Vern?
I was getting ready to go to choir practice, Jerry. I sang in the choir. I sang so low that they couldn't hear me. Okay, but anyway, I was actually, and I remember this just as it was yesterday. I was actually late going to choir practice. Okay, and then just before I got ready to walk out the door, the news broke. Okay, about King. It must have been about 6:10 in the afternoon, Thursday, 6:10 on a Thursday afternoon. And I heard the news, and I was just completely shocked by it. But when the thing that shocked me even worse than that news, when I got to the church, pastor there, Reverend Malone, I ain't gonna call his name because he's been pastor of our church for a long time. I was taken aback by his reaction or lack of reaction, and he wanted to know why I was late for choir practice. And I was trying to tell him, I said, well, I just heard on the news that Dr. King was murdered, was killed. He said, yeah, gone. And he just act like he was like that was just another day in his life. And I never forgot that reaction from him. Maybe he just didn't believe me, or maybe he was just frustrated because I was late for choir practice. I don't recall that, but I do recall the very next day I went to high school, Thurgood Marshall High. It used to be Connecticut County Training School. Before we went to high school, y'all, we didn't have high school. We had training school. They wouldn't give us the dignity of having high school. But in by 1968, they had a change of heart and named our training school after Thurgood Marshall. So when we went to school the next day, it was on a Friday, everything and everybody up in arms. And the things that made things worse, and you're talking about wanting to riot in Little Evergreen, Alabama, y'all. They announced on the local radio station, I quote how the announcer said, that nigger King was killed last night. And that took the community really up in arms. The school wanted to march, and they had to come down and talk to the principal. We had an assembly that day. He just brought everybody to the gym, and he locked the doors, okay, and wouldn't let anybody out of the gym because he feared that. And we were going to protest the radio station, which was right up the street from the school. We were going to protest the radio station, and they wouldn't. They did not allow us to do that. But hey, it is.
And that was a word they used every day on television and radio back
Radio.
then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and television too. I know where we live, they would have these announcers on. The niggas done did this, the niggas done did that. And they deserve what they got and all that.
Yeah.
But in a short order, it was it was dissipated because people, black people began to boycott them and boycott. One of the things, it was a, I don't know if you remember. I know you remember Wonder Bread and Seal Test Milk and all of that. Burn.
Yeah. Yeah.
People began to boycott them. They took their advertisement off of those radio stations because they were big advertisers. And them people had to fire those individuals that was on there because the people had told them, we weren't going to buy any more of your advertising business until you take it off. And, and then they began to sell radio stations to black people back then, after that.
Yeah, Jared, and then we got to move on, Jill, I promise you. There's two things happened that kind of make notoriety. That was a DJ up in D.C. What was his name? I can't call his name now. Famous DJ that kind of helped quell the riots there. And then James Brown also, that would brought those two individuals to prominence. Because James Brown began to get nationwide attention since he helped quell the riots up there in it was in Boston, one of those places up there, another, so that they didn't want to have a big concert up there. And
it was in Boston.
Boston, yeah. But anyway, y'all, let's move on, Jill. I know y'all can't relate to this stuff, but we teaching a little bit of Black history, okay? That we live through,
It's a good thing. All right, Derek, back to you.
Okay, well, this is old news, but we have not discussed it, and I wanted to talk a little about it to see what everybody's thoughts were. If everybody was aware that Trump announced the Patriot Games to commemorate the 250th anniversary of the United States. All right, Mr. Vernon?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm looking at a different computer screen. It's acting out on me. That's what I was trying to look at.
Okay.
I'm good.
Yeah, I was like, am I saying something wrong? You were like, right there. Okay. He announced the 250th Patriot Games for the 250th anniversary of the states that are supposed to be united. Have you guys heard about this? Do you know anything about it? What say you?
I haven't heard anything about the Patriot game. Is that like the game that they show on TV where people getting shot and hunted down and all of that?
Like the Hunger Games?
No. The Hunger Games. Is it like that?
Is it like American Gladiator?
You should say that. So they take, two people from each state and colony that is part of the states that are supposed to be united, and they're going to compete in I don't know, like a decathlon, some type of athletic event. So in my mind, I combine the Hunger Games with the Olympics with like a decathlon type of thing. But you're supposed to have these people that are supposed to be from anywhere from high school, I guess, through college age, they're going to represent their state or their domestic territory or the province or whatever they're called. That is going to be, they're going to come together in games for the entertainment of the masses.
I don't know. I don't watch all that stuff, but what I would say is he's not gonna be nice. It's just a waste of space and life and time. I don't know how to say it. Like, really, that's what you decided to do? Like, okay. I would say whoever wins, he'll probably draft them automatically. It'll probably be something crazy where you think that you're doing something great and then you'll get drafted or have to be an ICE agent or something. It's anything that benefits him. I just feel like that's where that's going. But really, that's where he's at now, or where he was at.
So, just so everybody's clear, what are they? It says the event is described as a 4-day athletic competition featuring top high school athletes, specifically one young man and one young woman from each state and territory, who will compete in various athletic contests in Washington, D.C. in the fall of 2026. It's part of a broader slate of anniversary events organized under the Freedom 250 banner, which is Orange Man initiative tied to celebrating the nation's semi-quincentennial. That's the correct way to say that. They're supposed to spotlight outstanding youth athletes, showcase discipline, and American pride. But many critics are, especially on social media and some of the other Democrats, they compare the concept to the Hunger Games, which is the dystopian fiction or novel where teens compete on behalf of their districts, even though the announcement is a standard athletic competition. But it sounds a little crazy. So when people are hungry, when groceries are high, they want to have people competing in it.
Well, yeah, that's what I was. First of all, who's funding this? Because now you're making the states have to have their own internal sort of competition in order to determine which two people are going to represent the state. So I would assume that means that all 50 states and all territories have to engage in some sort of qualifying competition, right? Or am I going too far?
No, I would assume so. It doesn't say how they're going to.
That would be the right way to do it. If you're
so then you got to do that, and who's going to fund that? Which legislative body is going to appropriate money in order to fund that type of competition? Is it going to be televised? Which network is going to do it? I can guess Fox News or CBS. So, which means that they would have to buy the licensing agreement. I mean, are they going to do like an Olympic style coverage of this? Is it going to be like a reality show? Are we in this for like 2-3 seasons? Like meanwhile, this is just a distraction because people getting shot in the face at point blank range, and we need a distraction. So let's do American Hunger Games.
Yeah,
BJ,
I think
gave him more than he ever thought about. I was like, don't tell him all that. He probably like, oh, we can have a season. We can make this reality show. Thanks, BJ.
Yeah, I think BJ is reaching for the simple fact that we've got a healthcare plan that isn't worth a dime that he just proposed, and I guarantee you, they're in shambles trying to figure out what is really happening. You're gonna pay people to purchase their own. Man, we are lost to try to figure out the details of a new game coming up with 2 students from. Man, we need to be concentrating on this healthcare plan that Congress is supposed to get devised in the next, 3 years. That ain't gonna be worth a nickel. The Trump healthcare plan, man, come on.
Which is no healthcare plan
Which is no healthcare plan.
And they talked about that this morning. Like no information on it, but he done presented this as if some kind of great healthcare plan. How you gonna get the money to the people? When have that money been allocated for that? How many? You need 60 votes to pass something like that, and you don't have it.
Absolutely zero thought went into this. How could you come out and embarrass not just himself, but he's embarrassing the country and playing on our intellect, man. Got these people whose health care plans have skyrocketed, and the very ones that voted for him, and now he's placating them with the Trump health care plan. You know what the worst part is? They think it's probably a Great idea. Poor people.
Yeah, we're gonna get the money ourselves and pay for our own health care.
Yeah. He said it on the 5th. They were looking for their check in the mail on the 6th. Is how deranged they are.
You know, first of all, when people get broke, the first thing they drop, their insurance, life insurance, health insurance. That's the first thing they drop because they don't. At that time to them it's not a necessity. Food is a necessity. Having a shelter is a necessity. You know, taking care of your family is a necessity. So this is why they were subsidizing the insurance so that people could have insurance. But now you got somebody there that's, thinking that everybody is a fool in the country just because they are. They think everybody else has no intelligence. And that's why every time he get somebody push back on, he called them low IQ. They don't have no intelligence. No, we know who has no intelligence, and you show it every day. So
The statistics show that the people that elected him were not that bright. I mean, intelligent, mostly graduates did not. Intelligent folk, white folk that are intelligent did not vote for this guy. Look it up if you don't believe me. It's the people that are not that did, and those are the ones. Now you got people that voted for him that are that were financially stable. But for the most part, the majority of the folk that voted that guy are not financially stable. So hey, man, and then the ones that needed the most, that voted against their best interest, are hurting with the expiration of the Affordable Care Act that they say that they can deal with. It's that Obamacare, these poor folk that they can't get with. I tell you, man, it's amazing.
They're talking about giving them only $1,500. Have he bought it? He must never had to buy health insurance, huh?
Of course not. Of course not. See, somebody like him can't relate to the common man. That's a big part of this problem. For SNAP to had expired and him saying, I'm gonna stand my ground, I don't care if they eat, that sounds just like a Jong-un. That sounds like I might give him half. No, you know what? On second thought, let's stick with our guns. And the poor Democrats caved.
I was listening at Cory Booker the other day when they was talking about refinancing ICE, and he said that he was not gonna vote against it, and I'm like, what happened to you? You
did all not going to vote against it.
Against the appropriation for more funds for ICE. He said he was not going to vote against it. He's going to vote for it. In other words.
Oh wow.
And I'm like, you was up filibustering for what, 25 or 26, 30 hours or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you gonna vote for somebody that's busting your people head, that's shooting people in the face, that's dragging pregnant women to the babies, die inside their stomach, kicking people till their ribs are broke. This is who you are now.
I've been calling them out. Since that boy won. I've been calling them out. Nancy Pelosi, all of them clowns, Schumer, all of them.
What? Why is it that you would vote for somebody that could possibly beat your brains out? They don't care nothing about that. It's the Haitian and Somalian, but what they say, the accent, what you look like. They say they're gonna start going door to door. breaking in people's houses to see if you're legitimate or not. They
Right.
they they done already they had a black girl all on the ground. She just walking, going somewhere because had her in a
Yeah.
headlock, all down in the snow.
Right.
Like
They was calling him Martin Luther Cream because they were saying he wants to have this like air of I'm the this generation's iteration of Obama. I'm the Martin Luther King, but he's really Martin Luther Cream because he'll fold under anything.
Wait,
I'm telling
who they call him?
Cory Booker, they've been calling him Martin Luther Cream.
Wow. Martin Luther King.
At least that's what the social media streets say. I mean, and if it's on social media, it's true.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Poor Cory.
No.
It was a very tone deaf in this moment. But it's just Cory being Cory. Let's get along. Let's all come together. Let's, hold hands and sing Kumbaya.
Yeah.
I mean, can't knock him. He's gonna always be who he is. I just don't know if that's if who he is meeting the moment.
I'm telling
But he's gonna run for president, and we'll see.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So there's been a lot of conversation. It seems like here of late. Certainly if you were part of the prayer breakfast in Pensacola yesterday, right? Yeah, yesterday they talked about, the guest speaker talked about holding the electeds accountable, and some of the folks. It's been a conversation about people who we elect as Democratic leaders, whether we elect them publicly, as Democrats, as voters, or even internally as we elect Democrats within the Democratic purview to represent Democratic ideology, not really living up to the standard and that their positions hold. Where do you see us going in 2026? That where we can? Do you think it's going to get better? Do you think it's going to get worse? Do the people that we hold in office do they have to go? Like, for example, I'll give you a great example, right? We were, when we were in Mariana just a few weeks ago, not even maybe 3 weeks ago. We had the opportunity
a couple weeks ago.
Right? We had the opportunity to hear from Ken Martin. And for those who are watching, Ken Martin is the chair of the Democratic National Committee. And in that, he talked about, I think we talked about this when we came back, about how wonderful it was to hear from the Democratic National Committee chair. I have faith that those people who are part of the DNC from across the 50 states and the provinces did a great job when they elected him as chair, right? But we have people who represent us in the DNC or even in local politics. You talk about Corey. We have Hakeem Jeffries, who is the House Minority Leader, who is kind of, in my opinion, folded under pressure. And we have members of, I'll use our DNC in the state of Florida, who don't live up to the positions with which they hold. We have DNC folks that don't deal with Black folks, that try to take down candidates, dismantle party structures to the detriment of Democrats all across the board. How do we move the needle in 2026 so that we don't continue to foster and perpetuate the same thing? How do we hold those who hold the offices in which we elected them to account?
I think from my vantage point, I think it's it's not going to be easy at all because this so ideology has everything to do with anti-black. You know, especially people here in the state of Florida who say they Democrats but vote Republican in many instances against Democrats. So they are still that they are Democrats in name only. So they do a disservice to the Democrat Party. They'll vote for maybe a senator or a governor, but the rest of the other candidates, congressional people and city council people and school board people, they are not going to vote for them, especially if they are people that look like us. And that's unfortunate because they expect us to always vote for them, you know, because they're Democrats. And that has to change uh, one way or the other, and sooner than later it's going to have to change.
So, what a great question. Let's go big, then go bring it back home. First of all, Ken Martin was amazing. I would love for him to come on the show because I think you would get, you could ask those hard questions, but you'd get an answer where you could see what the Democratic National Committee is saying. Now, remember, the National Committee can say and do. That doesn't mean that our legislative and elected officials are doing that. But he answered those hard questions in that room, and he never wavered. And he told the truth. If it was broken, it's broken. If he's fixing it, he's fixing it. He sees it. He knows it. The mistake is here. This is the issues. This is the concerns. And so for many of us in that room, we'll call us the everyday people because we weren't the DNC people. I had met him before he was the DNC chair, also at a Boots and Blues event. And he was really good then. He was amazing the other night. But I think until the party structure, till we look at our national, let's talk about our national people. Till you look at them and the truth gets out, then it's going to be hard to change because people only see and hear what they want to hear. And it's so twisted in the news that if they're not on the right feed of truth, then they hear just lies. Then let's come down to where Derek said, we have representatives. So the state of Florida has 11 or 12 DNC people, might be 12. Because the vice chair of the party is an automatic, so we might have 12. I think we elected 11, so I believe there's 12. And not all of them. Some of them, there are a few that are of color, and there are a lot that are not. And even the ones that are of color don't all know that they're of color. I'm not quite sure how they wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and don't see what we see. Or if you see it, you then don't protect those people that you should be protecting. There should be a hope and a hope and a respect that is given for everyone. So if we elect DNC people that look like the state of Florida, so just imagine we have somebody that represents everybody that is in the state of Florida, then you would hope those that look like you have your same beliefs, have your same faith, have your same work ethic, whatever it is, would protect you, and that they wouldn't join forces to break down, to join forces with someone who says, I'm not helping you because you're Black. I'm not helping you because I don't like you. You know what? Not only am I not going to help you, you're going to run for, let's just say, congressional seat 1. Not once, but twice, I don't know, 3 times. And there are people that are DNC members that literally either put somebody else up against them, told them to get out of the race, wouldn't go help them get elected, and didn't vote for them. but then you're part of the Democratic National Committee. So there is a breakdown across, we're going to talk about the state of Florida because that's where we live. How do you mend that? How do you fix that? You've got to expose it. And then when you expose it, everybody has to do something about it. So you can't leave it all to the chair. You, as a DNC member, if there's DNC members, need to address it. You need to hold your own level of your team responsible. Just like we try to hold each other responsible here, you should do the same thing as DNC members. And then you should come into the party structure and do the same thing. And if you're not sure what we're talking about, maybe you should pick up the phone and ask, because this isn't something that's just brand new. This is something that we've been doing now for, I feel like it's been 6 years. It probably was longer than that, but it's been at least 6 years. Same structure, but because you can put a smile on your face and a head on a shoulder, then you seem like you're important. But I don't care what your smile looks like. I don't care whose shoulder your head is on. If you're not protecting the people, if you're not doing the work for the people. And Ken said this, the DNC chair said, why are you doing what you're doing? Are you doing it for your self-gratification, or are you doing it for the people to make the community, the state, and the country better? He believes that all of us should be doing things to make our community, our state, and our country better. So I think we start there. Are our elected officials, whether they be DNC members or they be your city council person or your commissioner, or your mayor, or any of those kind of people, are we holding them accountable? Accountable doesn't mean just because you look like us or you got a D in your name that you automatically get to do whatever you want to do, or you can say some stuff and we're supposed to turn our head. It means accountability is across the board. We don't care whether you're a Democrat or once you're elected, doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican, an MPA, non-party, or some other party affiliation. Your job is to represent the people. And the people are the people that are in your constituency, and they matter. And unless you can do your job that way, then and make sure that you are representing, protecting, listening, and understanding everybody in your community, everybody who, whether they voted for you or not, you're here now, then you need to move out of the way and let us put people into office that will make sure it's not a black and brown thing. We're talking about community. Our community is not just black and brown. There are white and Asian and Mexicans and straight and gay and all of the people. You are supposed to once you take that oath and you take that office, you're supposed to represent every single one of them. But go ahead.
Sad truth, Jill, it seems like the only thing the elected officials need the people for are the votes. Once they get in, I mean, campaigning, boy, it sure sounds good. But once they get there, it turns to a numbers game, and just happens to be we're outnumbered. We're outnumbered. You got the highest office in the land that won't give disaster aid to a blue state. How insidious is that? That's what we're governed by, not just at the highest level. You got folk that vote locally in districts that once the elected official wins, man, they don't care about us. And to Jerry's point, Dino's in name only, are we so gullible that they say, hey, look, I might as well run over here because I don't have a snowball's chance over here. And we fall for it, man. Every time. When we had control, what did we do? What did we really do? We play defense. We need a great defensive coordinator because that's all we do.
You know,
Just saying basketball defense wins games.
Defense creates offense, but we never get to the offensive part.
Mr. McIntosh, you said something earlier where, you talked about like the problem with anti-blackness and things of that nature. And it is funny because I know our Democratic popular Florida president would always talk about, he talks about anti-blackness and, we having a cultural competency trial. But what do you do? I think, how do we get, I think the part that saddens me, like, because I can fight against anti-blackness. I can call out anti-blackness. I can continue to call out. The problem that I seem to have, or I experience, that baffles me is when the Black people perpetuate and participate in the anti-blackness. That's the part
I would agree with that.
They uphold the anti-blackness. Like, you can't, in my opinion, and as we talk about elected officials. Last week we talked about those people who represent us in Congress who thanked ICE. This year today we talk about elected officials or people who, for example, say Black people are not needed to win elections if you're a Democrat. They aren't needed because they don't vote. You have people at the highest levels of the DNC, well, for our state included, who perpetuate this and say this aloud. And then you have their colleagues who look like us say, what? I don't see nothing wrong, but I'm cool. They're cool. They're cool. How do we operate and bring about a change when we have to fight the anti-blackness and the Black people who uphold, perpetuate that? How does that work? Yeah, because I'm sure this is not a new thing. You have to, I won't say back in your day, because that sounds, but when we're talking about civil rights in the era of Martin Luther King, I'm certain that there are Black folks, as there were even with slaves, that were comfortable being slaves. There are Black folks that work against progress. So how do you deal with that in 2026? What is the remedy to absolve? But I know Jill said expose it.
2026.
You can put it up and you can play a video and you can do all that, and they still be like, okay. So how do you do it? What is the method? What worked in the past that we need to bring into present day?
Well, back then, a lot of times our vote, we were voting people in, but they weren't doing, we were not holding them accountable as well, but
Still.
we were voting. Yeah, those individuals got our votes without doing anything for us, but they weren't really trying to turn back the clock on us, But now you got people who are there, and this is what's so insidious. There is that when they said they don't need, if somebody said they don't need Black votes, well, that's why you got all these Republicans in power. That's why you had super majorities in these southern states in many of in legislation, because you didn't do anything to help cultivate the vote that could have helped propel you to the level where you needed to be to help stop some of the things that are going on. And then because you didn't do anything, I remember talking to this governor. I can't think of his name. Now, he was here in the state of Florida. He became a senator and before Charlie Crist. I can't think of his name now. But I talked to him about using his authority to help get people registered to vote, and to not just getting people registered to vote, but help to those who was incarcerated while they had the people in the Senate. They had the Senate at that time. He was the governor, and they had people in the House who would have voted for it, because back then it wasn't such an issue. He could have gotten those individuals rights to vote and got legislation that would have been hard to overturn. But he, and I talked, we was in this, he was there campaigning in this big meeting, and I posed these questions to him. He act like, well, he just said a couple words and moved on. Like, he didn't even answer the question, or even try to attempt to answer the question. And I really was, incensed at that, because he was saying to us and to Black people in general, I don't care if your people are incarcerated, have been incarcerated and can't vote, or that I don't really care because right now I'm winning, and I'm winning, because the majority of the black people that's going to vote are down in South Florida, and that's the way they used to look at it, and many of them still do because they are try to appeal to the black people in South Florida, as if though that we could not be the margin of error to make the difference here in Northwest Florida, to for governorship. And I saw the same thing with Charlie Crist when he came here and then had the little thing over at the Gulf Power, and we was asking him questions, and he just kind of ignored it. And I'm like, you know, yeah, you're gonna lose because you're not trying to cultivate or appeal to black people like like you were pretending to when you was on the radio. You know, you're saying, we really don't count as far as you're concerned because he thought by him being a former Republican that everybody, the Republicans and Democrats, white Democrats and white Republicans gonna vote for him, which was which he lost out of his butt, you know. But more than that,
the person you were thinking of is Mac Titan Bob Grant. Thank you, Lynn.
Grant, that's his name. Grant. Yeah, that's his name. And that was the one I approached him with way back before we did the amendment for to get people's rights back. But he he blew it off as if it was nothing. And now every Democrat is paying a price trying to get elected because of what he didn't do back then when he had the opportunity. And other Democrats who had the opportunity to, when they was governor of these states, that they didn't do anything to help the situation as far as voting is concerned. And so as a result now, they done all lost. And we all lose it and then lost. And now, if I was listening to the analyst this morning, he was saying Trump might do the Insurrection Act this week. This week, he was saying, coming up this week after Martin Luther King Day, that Trump could very well use the Insurrection Act because he don't want midterm elections this year because they are so deep underwater.
So I wanted to read a comment that was just posted on our Facebook thread by Margaret Hostetter. Margaret says, Google says Booker will not vote to fund ICE. Quote, no, Senator Cory Booker has expressed opposition to funding Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE, in the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, under current conditions, stating he won't vote to fund them due to concerns over policy violations and lack of oversight. And he recently tweeted he won't fund DHS ICE while they put Americans in danger and violate laws. Here's a breakdown of his stance in recent tweet on January 16th, which was just 2 days ago. Booker declared, I will not vote to fund DHS and ICE while they are putting Americans in danger, recklessly violating laws and decency, and refusing to be held accountable for or allow any oversight of their actions, indicating opposition to funding bills that does not address these issues.
I'm glad he changed his mind because that's not what he said on television.
I don't feel like that makes it better. That feels worse to me.
Yeah.
It actually feels worse because it feels like I'm trying to thread the needle to be everything to everybody. He's not going to fund them as long as they are violating the rules. But then, so if they do, then he'll fund them. They're breaking the law.
Right.
It's a masked regime that is invading neighborhoods and roughing people up and violating their civil rights
and killing people.
Right. Like if if there's someone who's going around robbing banks, we don't say, well, we're not going to punish you, just stop robbing the banks. No, you get punished for every bank you robbed. So this idea that, if you guys get in compliance with the law, then I'll fund you. No, you didn't lost it. It's done. We should have been listening when they were saying abolish ICE a decade ago. This is not new. Now it's just that some people had the forethought to know how bad this can go and others didn't. And I would venture to say I was probably one of them who didn't think that it would get this bad. But I'm there now. So abolish them, cut their funding. It is an agency that we did not have 20 years ago. We gonna survive if we don't have ICE.
I'm telling you, we don't need ICE because, for one thing, they are harassing people. They are snatching people out of cars. They are not supposed. They are not the law like that. They are not supposed. They are supposed to be guardians of the border. They don't even need to be nowhere near in the cities. That's why you have a police force. But then you got these mass thug Trump terrorists that's going around terrorizing people, trying to cause a reaction so that he can declare martial law in the country, because that's all it's for, to make people react to something that he's doing. Only thing about it, that people haven't failed for it yet, but it's only a matter of time, because you can't keep pushing people like that and expect them not to retaliate against you. And that's a great possibility. And when you do introduce the Insurrection Act, then you're talking about the total breakdown of law and order in the country, and possible going into civil war. So, then he's talking about sending in the military and all of that craziness. It's too much going on with these clowns for them to think that the reaction might not be what they think it's going to be. Because they got big guns and all that. There are people out there with bigger guns than they got. And you're talking about a few thousand people against 330 some million people, and they think that there's not going to be a reaction or a retribution for them, because that's what Trump got them believing, that there's not going to be retribution. But see, the thing about it, he thinks that there's not going to be an election, and he hoped that there's not going to be an election. They are hoping, and they are doing everything in their power to cause people to retaliate against them, so that he can call himself justifying the Insurrection Act and also martial law. So what say you, Jill? We going too long on that subject?
No. I just sent Derek a message and said, okay, what can we talk about that gives us a little lighthearted? I think we need to leave people
I got one
wanting
thing.
and needing to vote, because I think that they need to know that all of this can be changed. Everything that we bring up every single week can be changed by us getting engaged and voting and understanding the impact of your vote. I still say we expose, we hold accountable, even those that have a D in their name, across the board, and that politics is local. In Escambia, I know you have several people that are running. We even have a few people that are going to be running in Okaloosa. We need to get behind them. But before we get behind them, we also need to understand, what do they stand for? What are they going to do? Let them know that just once you win, you're still held accountable. It's not just, oh, you won. It's great for us, but it's only great if you do the work, you do the job. So, Derek, I'm going to turn it over to you for your next topic.
I think Vern has.
Yeah, I just want to throw something in here, Jerry. Like you had you had like your book review. Have y'all seen the movie Jones Plantation that playing on Tubi?
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it? Well, y'all need to take a look at it. Okay, I'm not going to tell you what it's about, but I want you to take a look at it, and that's our homework assignment. It's on Tubi called Jones Plantation, and we'll come back on another show and we'll talk about Jones Plantation and then we'll see why we need so many lanes in our highway to Hawaii. Jones Plantation. It's playing on Tubi. You can probably pull it up on your phone.
Yeah.
And everything.
Everything I see on Tubi.
That's what I was doing. It says a harrowing tale exploring the tangled roots of exploitation and control through one man's quest to maintain power through an elaborate deception. All right.
Well, you got to see it though. The description don't do it justification. Okay.
Now I'm just gonna say because you're asking us to do a lot because those two movies be a little difficult to watch at times. But all right, I feel like someone got their Samsung and got some people together and said, "Ooh, shoot this." They're a little difficult to watch it. So, but we'll go ahead. We're gonna watch it and come back. I don't know. Does everybody have Tubi?
It's free. It's free.
It's free.
It's a free program. It's free on your TV. I'm like you just pull it up on your phone. That's all.
Yeah. All right. So for our viewing audience, watch Jones Plantation. We're gonna watch it this week and come back to
it. We talk about it. I had a friend of mine. We always battling back and forth about these political stuff, and so he invited me to watch it. So I want to invite you to watch it. You just tell me what you think. I don't want to spoil it. I'll tell you what you think, and then I'll tell you my opinion on it.
Well, on a lighter note, I will share and I'll ask you: did anybody get their first text from the campaign of D. Jasmine Crockett? Did anybody else get it?
No.
Asking to work on the campaign? Are y'all?
Yeah, I got it.
What you gonna do? Did you respond? Yes, I want to help. I don't know how we volunteer from Florida, but
Oh, I replied, stop to end.
Uh-oh.
You did what?
Trying to make fix and win money?
I was not expecting you to say that, but all right. That's funny.
I got Jeremy gave a flower last night because he's running for mayor of Pensacola.
Jermaine,
yes.
Jermaine, yes.
Yeah, Jermaine. I saw him. Yesterday. Yeah, he was there yesterday. He had his new look.
Yeah.
His mayoral look.
Sharp guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a chance to speak with him briefly. Really sharp guy, man.
What's the new look?
Right, he was
ready to be the mayor.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He had them cleaned. He was clean.
Fresh haircut, everything.
Yeah. Usually I see him here, just his regular street clothes, something, But yesterday he was all spiffy.
I don't know that that's only just because he was running for mayor. He was at a prayer breakfast, so we were all spiffy yesterday. But I think this is good for Pensacola. I think everybody needs to pay attention and ask questions. And
of all the candidates, because again, like you've got Jermaine, you've got Ann Hill, who's also running.
I got a question that was posed to me about one of our viewers or one of our regular viewers. I'm not going to share the name, but they asked me, so do you think a black person can run citywide or countywide and be elected?
Yeah, of course.
Pensacola? In Pensacola?
Yeah, in Montgomery County
Yes.
and in the city of Pensacola.
Yes. Will it be work? Can they just?
I'm talking about a citywide election and a countywide. I'm talking about districts. I'm talking about a citywide and a countywide election.
So we don't have any countywide elections. So that's a unnecessary question. So I'm not sure. The only countywide election that we have.
I don't know. You got the supervisor election. You got all those, don't you? They are countywide.
Yeah, but not in 2026. I guess
no, I'm not talking 2026. That was a generic question. It was asking me. You think that any black person can be elected? Do we have enough black people to elect them, and enough white folks to go along with it to elect them? I would. My answer to the question would have been. My answer to the question was that. No, I don't think that we got enough support to get a black person elected countywide. At one point, I thought that we could have done that in a citywide election, but now with what do you call this? Gentrification. It's going to make it it's a whole different ball game now. So with gentrification, white people moving back into the city, I don't think they're going to happen because we was outnumbered them at one time, population-wise, in the city limits.
Not in the city.
In the city limits, yeah, we did. Yeah, we were. Maybe not voters. I'm talking population.
Oh, voters. Yeah, not voters. Okay. We're talking about. Yeah. Well, that makes a difference. Yeah, we're talking about voters.
Well, maybe you should answer, Derek, because you're the chair. You don't need.
Yeah, no. So I would.
I have 2 cents to give.
I think. I think the question is posed oddly. Could a black person win if they were Republican citywide? Countywide? I don't know. Maybe, perhaps. Could a black person win as a Democrat?
Yeah.
I don't know. We have districts 1 and 5 that present a little bit of slight problems in that race, but 2, 3, and 4 are absolutely. I think it depends on voter turnout. I think that's the question we have. Can we engage people across Escambia County to turn out to vote in the election? Just a year or so ago, we would have thought that a Democrat could never win countywide in Escambia County. Here we are in 2025. That proved to be wrong. That proved not to be the case. Now, when we're talking about citywide, absolutely a black person can win the citywide in a mayoral race. That goes without question. That's a thing to do. But again, like all of it, it's going to take work. And it's not it's not going to be a cakewalk, I think anybody who's running has to do work, on both sides of the aisle. None of this is a shoo-in for anybody. Not in 2026, believe you that.
I think that even though I don't live in Pensacola city limits, I just think that we define what's possible. And what I know from, and I'm coming to this from a medical perspective and from a psychological perspective, people do what they think other people are doing. Most people have a rudimentary, very basic 8th grade mentality, and people like to gravitate towards what they think is popular. And so if the thing of the moment is a black candidate, people tend to like to do what the popular thing is. They don't want to vote for a loser or someone that they think is going to lose. So the atmosphere behind the candidate has to be that they are a winner. So what I would tell that person that asked that question is, you're going into it with the wrong mentality. It's not the question is, what do we do to get them to win? Not can they win?
And that's like Derek said, it's going to take work, and it take work period anyway to win. But it really it's going to take some extra effort, but it can be done. But it's not going to be easy, because forces that's out there are intending on keeping that power in their hand. Frederick Douglass said, "Power concede nothing without a demand. It never has and never will." So we have to demand our power through our vote, and they are trying to destroy it.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to eliminate. I'm just going to tell a compressed story. And this is why I know things are possible, because I'm getting phone calls from people representing the other side of the aisle that are mad that Democrats are running in specific races. They're like, what's happening? Why are you doing this? I thought we were good. And so historically, we've never gotten those calls. No one has ever been mad that a Democrat is running in a race. They've been like, okay, whatever, and they keep on moving. But the fact that I got to spend 30 to 45 minutes trying to tell them, you ain't safe, ain't nobody safe. And for us to be people looking at us like, oh, Lord, I would tell that person, yeah, things are possible. Ask us on November, what is that? What day is that?
I don't know, but it's 9:01. Like finish it.
The day after. Yeah. So, and then we'll have a conversation. We'll show you. I can show you better than I can tell you.
Where's 901, Derek?
What's your book review?
No, it's 901. We are.
Okay. Well, certainly, if nothing else, we thank you for tuning in this week. Please be sure to join us next week on the 25th, same time. Have a great week, everybody. Take care.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.